Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, first, China's humanoid robot production to beat Tesla, leveraging horizontal integration for 2026 mass market entry. We'll explore how this supply chain strategy could transform robotics, manufacturing, and challenge Silicon Valley's vertically integrated model. Second, Samsung's 10nm DRAM secrets were allegedly stolen via handwritten notes, fast-tracking China's HBM chip ambitions. Today, we'll take a closer look at this low-tech industrial espionage and its implications for the global AI chip supply chain. Third, Novo Nordisk stock crashes 50% despite Ozempic's breakthrough potential, pitting Wall Street fear against a medical revolution. We'll analyse why this market panic is a turning point and how it could affect the future of pharmaceutical innovation cycles. Fourth, Meta's $2 billion acquisition of AI startup Manus disrupts Microsoft's plans, signalling a new business strategy. In this episode, we'll break down this aggressive move and what it signals for the future of AI acquisitions and platform ecosystems. Fifth, a $1 trillion crypto market crash under a pro-crypto president reveals its deep correlation with traditional economic forces. So we'll discuss why political support failed to protect the market and what this means for crypto's future as an institutional asset. The most unexpected news in the tech world today has to be this. While Elon Musk predicts Tesla's humanoid robots could be worth trillions, a slew of Chinese companies are set to beat Tesla to the punch, with mass production slated to begin as early as 2026. So the thing is, the two sides are using completely different playbooks. Tesla is pursuing what's called vertical integration, trying to design and build every single component in-house for superior performance. We're seeing China, on the other hand, taking a completely different path with horizontal integration. It's leveraging its massive existing supply chain to build robots faster and cheaper. This allows Chinese companies to iterate rapidly and get good enough robots into the market now, while Tesla's more complex approach has faced delays. We previously analysed the policy-level split China's top-down model versus the US bet on public-private partnerships, and now we see that same divide playing out on the factory floor. According to experts, China is already leading the United States in the early commercialization of humanoid robots, and the numbers are staggering. Analysts at RBC Capital Markets forecast a global market reaching $9 trillion by 2050, and they project China will account for more than 60% of that. This isn't just a tech trend, it's a national strategy. Beijing has made robotics a key priority to address its massive demographic challenges, a declining workforce and rising labour costs, and to advance its quest for tech supremacy. And this isn't just a business decision, it's a strategic necessity for their future. China's population has been declining since 2022, and its workforce is ageing fast. To compensate, they installed nearly 300,000 industrial robots last year alone, which is more than half of all new installations worldwide. This is their answer to keeping their economy growing. A while back, we noted how China's centralized approach can pivot entire industries quickly. Robotics is that strategy in action. The push is so significant that Washington is now playing catch-up, with the Commerce Secretary reportedly meeting with robotics CEOs to form a plan to accelerate the American industry. A few days ago, we mentioned the US. TechForce Washington's move to embed 1,000 private sector specialists on 2-year tours with salaries up to $200,000. And today there's another important update. These CEO convenings are the industrial extension of that same public-private playbook. The upside is speed. The risk, as we flagged before, is vendor lock-in if the builders of government systems are also the sellers. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. While China builds the robot bodies, the US has a major advantage with the brains, the advanced AI chips needed to make them smart. US export controls are designed to be an Achilles heel for China's tech ambitions, but in response, Chinese firms are now in a mad dash to design their own chips. Companies like Huawei and Baidu are developing domestic AI accelerators to close this gap and reduce their reliance on foreign tech. Continuing our last discussion of the toll road approach, letting NVIDIA keep selling advanced AI hardware to China for a cut, we're now seeing the downstream effect. It buys time for US firms while accelerating China's push to go homegrown. The scale of production in China is already ramping up. One company, UB Tech, plans to produce 5,000 industrial robots in 2026. ramping up to 10,000 the following year. Another major player, Agibot, has already seen its 5,000th humanoid robot roll off the production line. And it's not just about the hardware. These companies are developing their own proprietary AI models to power these robots. For example, Agibot developed a model called Go1 that allows its robots to perform incredibly delicate tasks like threading a needle. They are building the intelligence from the ground up, not just relying on Western software. And that brings us to a potential pitfall, one we've seen before with China's electric vehicle industry. The country's own economic planning agency is now officially warning about the risk of a bubble, with more than 150 robotics companies flooding the market. Massive government subsidies led to overcapacity and brutal price wars in EVs. Now, Beijing is trying to avoid that same boom and bust cycle in robotics by being more cautious. We previously warned that in the US model, corporate and national interests don't always align. In China, the equivalent risk shows up as state-driven overcapacity and price wars. There's also the cost. Today's advanced prototypes can cost up to $500,000 per unit. To actually compete with human labor, that price needs to plummet to between $20,000 and $50,000. This creates a massive gap between the hype of polished demo videos and the actual reality of what these machines can do. A market correction could slow innovation, making this a high-stakes race where perception and reality are on a collision course. From China's ambitious robotics strategy, we now shift to another critical battleground, the race for advanced semiconductors. This story begins with a stunning allegation of industrial espionage, with prosecutors estimating losses in the tens of trillions of won after a former Samsung executive allegedly orchestrated a massive heist. We previously analysed how the AIO-driven HBM crunch turned memory into geopolitical gold. And the latest development is prosecutors say one shortcut to that gold may have been theft. Now, you might be wondering how they even arrive at a figure like tens of trillions of won. It's a calculation that reveals the true stakes of this game. It's not just about the money Samsung spent on R&D, which was over $1 trillion. Prosecutors look at potential lost profits, lost market share, and the huge strategic value of keeping that technology exclusive. It's a combination of what Samsung lost and what its new competitor illegally gained. And as we've discussed before in the context of HBM scarcity, exclusivity isn't just bragging rights, it's pricing power and production priority. This wasn't a sophisticated cyber attack. According to South Korean authorities, a researcher leaving Samsung for the Chinese chipmaker Changshin Memory Technologies, or CXMT, copied hundreds of proprietary manufacturing steps by hand. Now get this, in an age of firewalls and encryption, why use handwritten notes? It sounds almost primitive, but it exploits what security experts call the analog hole. Digital security can't stop a trusted employee from simply writing things down. While companies spend billions on cybersecurity, research shows that a staggering 75% of industrial espionage involves the theft of physical documents, not hacking. It's a low-tech method that bypasses high-tech defenses, and it is brutally effective. These handwritten notes allegedly contain the secret recipe for Samsung's advanced 10nm DRAM technology, covering everything from equipment specs to yield optimization. A while back, we said the road to HBM runs through World A-class DRAM process control. HBM is a stacked skyscraper of memory built on disciplined base dies, so a shortcut here matters. That technology, which cost Samsung 1.6 trillion won to develop, was then allegedly reconstructed inside CXMT's facilities. But that's not the whole picture. The investigation found that CXMT also obtained advanced technology from another Korean giant, SK Hynix, through one of its suppliers. Continuing our last discussion about manufacturers retooling for HBM and starving consumer lines, remember Micron even shuttered its consumer O-focused products to save supply for AI. An alleged transfer like this collapses years of trial and error that normally gate that retooling. The result? Prosecutors say this illegal transfer allowed CXMT to become the first Chinese firm to produce these advanced chips. This isn't just about one company stealing from another. It's a move that fits directly into a much larger global strategy. We're talking about China's national goal of semiconductor self-sufficiency, especially in the face of escalating US-led tech sanctions. From one perspective, this isn't seen as simple espionage, but as a necessary tactic for national technological survival in a high-stakes chip war. And recall, we noted Micron is already more than sold out on HBM with fabs diverting capacity. If CXMT can field competitive parts domestically, it inserts a new pricing wildcard into an already constrained market we said could stay tight well into 2027. This all comes down to one critical component, HBM, or high bandwidth memory, which is absolutely critical for the future of artificial intelligence. It's what allows AI processors, like the powerful GPUs made by NVIDIA, to access massive amounts of data at lightning speed. It's like the super fast highway that connects the AI's brain to its memory. Without advanced HBM, you can't build cutting-edge AI. By allegedly getting the foundational DRAM technology, CXMT is now on a fast track to producing its own HBM, potentially allowing China to build its own powerful AI hardware and sidestep those US sanctions. And as we said a while back, the industry's pivot toward HBM has already squeezed consumer RAM and undermined the economics of repair and upgrades. This case helps explain why that squeeze doesn't ease quickly. Now, CXMT, which is eyeing a massive $42 billion stock market listing, is unveiling its own next-generation chips, directly challenging the very companies whose technology was allegedly stolen. A few days ago, we mentioned how even a rumor about a mega data center order can rattle memory stock. So if investors believe CXMT can actually ship HBM, expect more volatility. This all culminates in a massive corporate espionage case where technology that cost one company over $1 trillion to build allegedly ended up creating a multi-billion-dollar competitor, fundamentally altering the high-stakes race for AI supremacy. Speaking of high-stakes corporate drama, another global giant, this time in the pharmaceutical industry, is in the midst of a crisis. The company behind the weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy is having its worst year on record. Shares in Novo Nordisk have plummeted a staggering 50%, triggering the biggest leadership shakeup in the company's 100-year history as investors run for the exits. To understand the scale of this, let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on this company. Novo Nordisk has become so massive that its market value is now larger than the entire annual GDP of its home country, Denmark. In 2023, the pharmaceutical industry, driven almost entirely by Novo Nordisk, was responsible for about half of Denmark's economic growth. Essentially, this drug has become a strategic national asset, almost like Taiwan Semiconductors or OPEC oil, creating immense economic leverage, but also incredible vulnerability for an entire nation. But while Wall Street is panicking, scientists are saying the real story is just getting started. What began as a drug for diabetes and weight loss is now exploding into a whole new territory. Regulators have already approved it to reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes and to treat both liver and chronic kidney disease. If that was just the appetizer, the main course is just being served. Believe it or not, the drug, semaglutide, appears to quiet cravings in the brain's reward pathway. We're not just talking about food. Observational studies show it could reduce cravings for alcohol, tobacco, and even recreational drugs. One study went even further, suggesting this class of drugs could be the first effective anti-consumption agents with the potential to treat everything from nicotine addiction to uncontrollable shopping behaviors. So what's the mechanism behind this? These drugs modulate the brain's reward system, which is ground zero for our desires. The impact is already showing up in our wallets. One Cornell University study found that households using these drugs cut their grocery spending by over 5%, with the biggest drops in processed snacks and sugary drinks. At the same time, their spending on fresh fruits and vegetables actually went up. This effect is so powerful that it could create a whole new anti-consumption economy, challenging industries built on our cravings. So why the massive stock crash? 2 words: competition and time. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, Novo Nordisk's groundbreaking science, while on the other, it exposes the brutal reality of market competition. Rival drug maker Eli Lilly is closing in with its next-generation drug, tirzepatide, which clinical trials show can lead to even greater weight loss. And the next wave, triple receptor drugs, is already in development. Cheaper, copycat versions are also flooding the market, and Novo Nordisk's key patents are set to expire, opening the floodgates to generic versions. Investors are losing patience with the long, decade-plus timelines of drug development. The sentiment on the street is brutal. As one Jefferies analyst put it, we don't see a good argument for a valuation floor. After all, Drug development is a high-stakes gamble. For every 10 drugs that enter phase 1 clinical trials, only about 1 will ever get approved. A single failure in a late-stage trial can wipe out billions in market value overnight, and even a delay can cost a company millions in lost revenue. This is why investors are so ruthless. They're pricing in the enormous risk. This sets up a massive conflict. Wall Street's demand for immediate profit versus the drug's long-term world-changing potential. It's a high-stakes battle between short-term market fear and a scientific revolution that could redefine modern medicine, with one of the world's biggest drug makers caught directly in the crossfire. While investors are fleeing Novo Nordisk, another tech giant is doing the exact opposite, making a massive multi-billion-dollar bet. Meta just dropped over $2 billion to acquire an AI startup named Manus. But this isn't just any startup. Manus claimed it hit an annualized revenue run rate of over $125 million just 8 months after it launched. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. For years, big tech companies did what we call acqui-hires. They'd buy a startup just to get the talented engineers. But this is different. Meta isn't just buying talent. It's buying a proven, profitable business with millions of active users. This is an acqui business play. They are buying an established revenue stream and a ready-made user base, a much more aggressive way to instantly gain ground in the AI race. What really brought this to a head was the next development. This wasn't just a simple buyout, it was a strategic power play. Microsoft had already started testing Manus's technology inside Windows 11, allowing users to create websites directly from their own files. So Meta didn't just acquire a promising company, it snatched up a tool that its chief rival was actively integrating into its core product. By buying a company already working with its rivals, Meta isn't just playing offense, it's playing defense, a move that could absolutely draw regulatory scrutiny. They're not just building their own arsenal, they're actively taking weapons away from their competitors. This move effectively kneecaps Microsoft's and Alibaba's efforts to use this specific powerful AI agent, consolidating that power inside Meta's walls. This move is a key piece of Meta's aggressive all-in AI strategy. The company is openly poaching talent from major rivals like OpenAI and Google, and this $2 billion deal is just one part of a larger spending spree. It follows a massive $14.3 billion investment in the AI, startup Scale AI, which brought its founder directly onto Meta's AI leadership team. The company Meta just bought has its own dramatic backstory. Manus began as a product of a Chinese startup, claimed its chatbot had superior performance to an agent from OpenAI, and then moved its headquarters to Singapore to fuel its global expansion. So how did a small startup outperform a giant like OpenAI? The secret sauce is its multi-agent architecture. Instead of one giant AI trying to do everything, Manus uses a team of specialized AIs that work together. There's a planner agent, an execution agent, a knowledge agent, and a verification agent. They break down complex tasks and collaborate almost like a human project team, and the results are stunning. On a key industry benchmark called Gaia, which tests real-world problem-solving, Manus consistently beat OpenAI's model across all difficulty levels. And that move to Singapore, that wasn't random. This is part of a huge trend called the Singapore pivot. To avoid the crossfire of US-China tech tensions, many Chinese-founded AI companies are relocating to neutral territory like Singapore. It's a brilliant geopolitical and business strategy that benefits everyone. The startup gets access to global markets, Meta gets to acquire cutting-edge tech without political baggage, and Singapore solidifies its status as a global tech hub. When we place Manus's successful subscription model alongside Meta's ad-based ecosystem, the contradiction and the potential future for AI becomes clear. Manus was wildly successful with a paid subscription model. Now that it's owned by an ad giant, this could accelerate a trend where the very best AI agents are offered for free inside big tech ecosystems. While that sounds great for us as consumers, it could squeeze out independent startups that need to charge for their services, potentially reducing competition and innovation in the long run. We are watching the rules of the entire AI industry being rewritten in real time. We were just talking about a calculated $2 billion move by Meta to reshape a market. Now, let's shift our focus to an entirely different kind of market shock, one that was anything but planned, vaporizing $1 trillion in the crypto space. Despite the industry getting the pro-Bitcoin president, it had been promised For years, the core promise of crypto was its independence from the stock market. That promise, it turns out, is broken. As big institutions and even sovereign wealth funds started investing, crypto became part of the establishment. And the price for that legitimacy, it now moves in lockstep with the rest of the economy. Just months ago, Bitcoin hit an unbelievable all-time high of $126,000, but that peak was a mirage. The trigger for the crash didn't come from an enemy, but from the president himself. Donald Trump's announcement of 100% tariffs on China sent the market into a freefall, triggering the largest liquidation event on record. $19 billion vanished in just 24 hours. A massive tariff isn't just a political statement. It's a shockwave to the global economy that digital assets can't escape. It strains the entire technology supply chain. It's not just crypto that gets hit either. In the days following the announcement, the S&P 500 fell 3.5% and the Dow dropped 2.5%. Crypto was simply caught in the same storm. In the aftermath, Ethereum plunged 40%. Even Eric Trump's own crypto firm, American Bitcoin Corp, saw $1 billion of its value erased. So what went wrong? How could a crypto-friendly White House oversee such a massive collapse? According to Rachel Lucas, an expert at BTC Markets, the answer is simple. Quote, the Trump administration may be pro-crypto, but tariffs and tight monetary policy outweigh positive vibes. She adds, macro forces really matter more than political stances. And she's right. The data is undeniable. In 2025, Bitcoin's correlation with the tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 index hit a staggering 0.80. To put that in perspective, a score of 1.0 means they move perfectly together. So at 0.80, Bitcoin was essentially behaving like a big tech stock, making it incredibly vulnerable to the same economic fears that spook Wall Street. Political good vibes just can't compete with that. Interestingly enough, there's another factor dragging crypto down. The downturn in AI, stocks like Nvidia. With Bitcoin mining becoming less profitable, major mining companies like Core Scientific and Bitfarms made a massive pivot. They began repurposing their huge power-hungry data centers for the AI gold rush. For example, Core Scientific, once a mining giant, reallocated nearly all of its energy capacity, about 700 megawatts, to serve AI clients. This pivot, however, created a new hidden risk. The financial health of the crypto mining industry suddenly became tied to the hype cycle of AI. When AI stocks stumbled, the miners who had bet their futures on this pivot got dragged down, and they took the crypto market with them. While some industry leaders at firms like BlackRock and Coinbase remain optimistic for the long term, the crash is a brutal reminder. Even with a president who rolled out the red carpet with favorable regulations, the crypto market remains at the mercy of global economic forces, not political promises. Bitcoin now hovers near $90,000, a shadow of its peak, but still a world away from where it began.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.